fight fans, well, we had a big fight weekend. We did. We had Anthony Joshua fighting. We had Game Bred Boxing where Roy Jones Jr. fought Anthony Pettis. We had an incredible boxing match that destroyed everyone's expectations between Jose Aldo and Jeremy Stevens. Friday we had Bellator. Saturday there was also a PFL match. So it looked like everybody took advantage of the UFC off week. No UFC for the week. And we wake up yesterday morning, Monday morning, and Sunday night into Monday morning, the rumors were coming out. Somehow, the WWE, along with UFC, somehow the UFC still managed to steal the weekend. We always talk about how frustrated we are as that nobody takes advantage of the UFC off weekends. Well, this time they did. Like I said, DAZN had a professional world championship heavyweight boxing match. Anthony Joshua's a big star. Bellator, they had an event. It was a weaker event on Friday. We didn't cover it, but they got some fighters, some of their fights out of the way, and I guess that's about all you can say about that. It wasn't an incredible event, but PFL did return. They did pretty well, and quietly in the background, Zuffa returned to boxing. It kind of snuck in the back door. With the Jorge Masvidal promotion. It was announced, I don't think I knew until about a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most before that this was the new, that UFC was co-promoting that. I had no idea until it was almost too late. We got a super chat. We got a donation. PBR Street Gang with the Apple Cash. Thank you, my friend. I know this is a big deal. I know some of you are probably excited about this. Some of you are probably freaking out. I've went back and forth, not sure what to think of this. Time's going to tell, I guess, what this is going to look like. But I know a lot of MMA fans are not happy right now. I haven't heard anything negative from WWE fans. I think this is great for them. Let's head to the chat for a minute. PBR Street Gang, PBR, Greg Brimstone, Torrin Brown, Jim, Josiah Perez. What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming in on this late notice Tuesday stream. Greg Brimstone says, can't wait for the power bomb. See McGregor land the corner bomb from the top of a steel cage. Saya says, 3 o'clock show, let's go. Vince sold the company, but damn near staying in control. Funny AF to me. Yeah, you're right. He's still the president. He really loses, he really loses nothing in this. He gets, obviously, a huge check. I mean, I don't know what he got out of it as far as check, because there's like a 49-51% split, whatever, with WME and the ownership. Let's not forget Mike Perry, Eddie Alvarez, and Chad Mendez fight this weekend at BKFC 41. King James says BKFC 41 has a worthy lineup. What's up, King James? I gotta stop to give a huge thanks to King James. So I just got a certified letter from King James in the mail. Biggest donation by far in Fights with Friends history. $300. Thank you very, very much, James. Greatly appreciate that, man. That pays for a lot of pay-per-views and monthly services and beers and all kinds of cool stuff. So really appreciate you, man. Jim, I don't know what to think of this. The Gamebred boxing was good, especially, like I said, that Jeremy Stevens and Jose Aldo fight. That was incredible. Yup, King. Finally, we can see John Cena versus Derek Lewis. What's up, Bill Brasky? That's hilarious. I think as much as WWE fans are probably a lot more excited about this than UFC fans are, I would guess you're going to see a lot more of UFC fighters in the WWE than you're going to see vice versa. Because these guys have proven they can go in there. They can go in there and sell out of the gate. Ronda Rousey went in there. Ronda Rousey fought, in quotations, this Sunday. Second match, it was like a women's tag team match. Anyways, she had a broken arm. And I didn't realize that when I was watching it. But, I tuned in. I went to bed early that night, but I tuned in just to watch Brock and Ronda. And so, boy, was I happy that they ended up being the first two matches. And, then I could be done because I don't really know what's going on in the rest of the wrestling world. But I love to watch those two because they're entertaining. But Ronda came in, she literally did about 10 seconds of work. She talked for about 30 seconds before, and then she just... there was an opponent that had already been hit from her tag team opponent, I believe, from the top rope with a body splash. And all Ronda had to come and do was come in and put on an arm bar, something she's been doing her whole life. It took her all of, 10, 15 seconds, as I said, and I don't know what her contract looks like, but I wouldn't be surprised if she made more money for that than some of her UFC fights. Damn, King, that's chunky. Yeah, he's taking care of us here. But yeah, I was surprised because I didn't think they were going to get the deal done. I knew they'd been talking about it, but it didn't look like Endeavor wanted to take on that much debt because it's a significant amount of debt. I don't know if you guys seen, the UFC is now appraised at $12 billion. 3 times what it was appraised just, 5 years ago when Endeavor bought him over. It's been about 5 years, I believe. Anyways, then the UFC was worth $3 billion more than WWE, which of course WWE's been around for significantly longer. They have merchandise. They have WWE Studios that's produced 32 movies. They have so much merch. I have friends. I had friends growing up. I was poor as fuck, but I had friends growing up. They had the merch. They had the Hulk Hogan dolls and the Ultimate Warrior, and all this stuff. So for the UFC to be appraised higher than the WWE was honestly really surprising. Most knowledgeable and best commentary in MMA. Well, thank you, King James. Thank you, James. Very kind of you, brother. Mike works hard. Well, thank you. I see mixed reactions between you guys. I think we're going to start to see UFC fighters in the WWE right away. And that's where they're going to get us. They're going to get us, a lot of us, maybe not all of you guys, but a lot of you guys, you're going to tune in out of curiosity because you want to see, Conor jump in there against Logan Paul or whatever it is. See, first how athletic he is. Because, these guys have to be incredibly athletic. We can say, it's not real fighting all we want. And, of course, that's 100% true. But the acrobatics and things that are going on in these matches, I watched this, the women's match at WrestleMania. It was 4 tag teams. And I couldn't even keep up with the rules because I'd never seen a 4 tag team match. It was 8 women. And they were tagging in and out. But what was incredible was the acrobatics of these women. Forget about the outfits, which were very revealing and beautiful. And you had women with beautiful bodies. And so I wasn't complaining about that either. That definitely made it worth watching. But the athleticism of some of these, I got to call them athletes. I have to. You can't call them fighters. I don't believe you can call them fighters. But I would definitely call them athletes. McGregor not doing WWE. He's way too rich to do some pony act. Here's my prediction, Isaiah. My prediction is Conor McGregor never fights in MMA again. And we only see him in WWE from now on. He posted a picture of himself, and this was before the merger went through, but he posted on social media a picture with the UFC belt on one shoulder and the WWE belt on the other shoulder. So, very interesting. Maybe he probably knew some stuff, I'm sure, before the general public. And, that's fine. He's co-promoted with the UFC. He's their biggest cash cow. I'm not going to complain about that. Torrance, I don't like it, Mike. Yeah, a lot of us don't like it. Isaiah said, but what's up? Gonna be a good card this weekend. Can't wait for Yanez versus Font. Yeah, that's a real good card. And we're going to get into the UFC Miami preview here in a minute. I just wanted to get all the talk of this out of the way. I hope that this is going to be good for fighters because it has the potential to be good for UFC fighters. WWE has their movie studio. Like I mentioned, they've made 32 movies. There's guys in the UFC that could act just as good as or better than these WWE guys. I mean, they're substitute soap opera stars at best, most of them. Most of them are honestly horrible actors. Torrance, actually, it's the other way around. The moves in pro wrestling is real. It's just scripted. Far as they know who will win. Yeah, there are a lot of real moves. There's just a lot of things where they don't actually connect the punch or the kick. They do some fancy things with the camera angles. They use those chairs, and you guys know the trick by now because you've been watching fighting and different things. and long enough. And you went to school. You remember those, those chairs that maybe you had in school, like in music class, or you've had them when you went to a conference or whatever. And they're metal. They have a little bit of padding for the seat for your ass when you sit down. But they make a big sound. You can pick those things up and you can smack somebody on the head with it. It makes a big freaking sound. Really doesn't hurt them. Especially if you do it right. I know this because when I was in drama, I think it was my junior year, we had a drama class and we did like a fight scene thing, which everybody, went by the rules. They did they taught them how to fake punch and fake slap and, all this stuff. I didn't like what was going on with all that. I decided I was going to injure my opponent and myself, which we managed to, by doing judo throws on, on the stage, hitting each other with chairs. That didn't hurt. Over the back, over the head. It ended up with an arm bar. It was highly entertaining. Everyone loved it. Everybody else's, fight seemed pretty lame after ours. So I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, those things don't hurt. That's the point. Wrestling is too corny for me. Nobody can hold the audience like The Rock did. Wait till you see Luke Rock hold. No, not into WWE, just can't watch it, says Jim. So I haven't watched wrestling since Stone Cold and The Rock WWF stuff. No way do I go back to watching that. Izzy probably will win this time. He was winning that fight until the sequence. Izzy wasn't KO'd. He was on his feet, holding himself up. Should have got it done by decision or inside. Torrance, I used to watch wrestling back in the day. I think all of us did. Alex didn't even have it. Izzy that bad, bro? I rewatched it. Ref really probably could have let it go. He caught Izzy and Izzy was rocked. Fight's getting stopped when the fighter's still on the feet is always kind of weird. Yeah, I agree. Torrance says Buckley will be fighting Michael Chiesa this Saturday. Stepping in for Legion. Oh, really? Joaquin Buckley? That's an interesting matchup. It's an interesting matchup. I mean, obviously, Chiesa is a much better grappler. If he takes him down, Buckley's in a lot of trouble. Buckley hits hard. Never been in a WWE and hope they remain separate. I think they will remain separate for the most part, King James. You'll definitely see some co-promotions. I'm sure you will see, or I would imagine you will see some promotions at the beginning. Something like, sign up for WWE Network for a year or whatever it is. I guess it's on Peacock now, and get a free UFC pay-per-view. Something like that. Now, WWE fans, they're not the ones complaining right now. In the end of this, they're going to be the ones complaining. I do think, because UFC, we've been paying pay-per-view prices, ridiculous pay-per-view prices, a lot of us, for a long time. From $45 now to $85 under ESPN. It is ridiculously expensive to be an MMA fan. Then we pretty much all have ESPN Plus on top of that. That's another $10 a month. If you have Fight Pass, that's another $10 a month. Just if you watch Bellator, of course, you're on Showtime. Right now, if you have Peacock Premium, which is $6 a month, and you get a ton of other content, you get all the UFC content. You got this WrestleMania for free. Saturday and Sunday. That's huge to wrestling fans. I know most of us might not care about it, but that's huge to wrestling fans. They get Royal Rumble, they get SummerSlam, they get WrestleMania. They used to be paying $50, $60 a pop for all those. Endeavor wants them to go back to that. Endeavor has already said they would like to see them go back to that. I don't know how the logistics are going to work out on that. I mean, obviously there's a reason that WWE went away from that model. I wish the UFC would go to the WWE model. Tell everybody, $25-30 a month or whatever, and you get to see all of the UFC and all the WWE. If you don't like the WWE, you just don't have to watch, but you're still, paying a lot less than you were on the pay-per-views. As I said, no, I think Chiesa got pulled from the card. I think Buckley posted that as an April Fool's joke. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I heard Michael got pulled too. This is right. I watched the WWE shows on Peacock. I've seen that. I tried to watch one with my kids because they never watched WWE. I would not let them watch WWE growing up. They watched UFC. I said, if they're going to see fighting, they're going to see the real life consequences. And I raised my kids on UFC. They watched The Ultimate Fighter. They watched the UFC. They were huge Chuck Liddell fans. Anderson Silva fans. John Jones even at one time. And then Daniel Cormier. After John Jones disappointed the world. But, they were huge into UFC. They didn't know WWE because I never let them watch it. I didn't think it was good for kids. I still don't think it's good for kids because I think kids don't get to see the real life consequences. In my mind, I think they should just watch fighting. If they're going to watch fighting, just watch fighting. That way there's no mystery. They're not going to go onto the playground, start jumping off the ropes and their friend, smacking their friends and knocking them unconscious because they seen the guy on WWE recover in, 15 seconds. Good point, Mike. WWE may get more expensive. I think it will be too. I'm an NBA fan too, Storin. Wonder what percentage of people watch illegal streams? How many buys are left on the table? Bill, it's a lot. I would say it's a lot. I bet for every person that pays for a pay-per-view, I bet you 3 people watch it on an illegal stream. That's just a wild-ass guess, but UFC could steal a bunch of WWE followers. They definitely could, and I think they will. I think they will. Like I said, the WWE guys, though, it's a lot harder for them to come over and fight MMA. We've seen that with CM Punk. I mean, it doesn't transfer over. Our mixed martial artists have been fighting and training their entire lives. It's almost impossible to catch up. There's a few guys maybe that could do it. I know some people were saying, now we might see Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey fight in MMA again. I don't think so. Brock's not going to get through USADA, and I think they want him looking that juicy for WWE, and I don't blame him. He looks incredible. He looks like the beast incarnate, like they call him. He looks like a fucking savage. And then Ronda, she barely does WWE anymore. I think she kind of shows up here and there, cashes a check. She's living on her farm with her husband, Travis Brown. I don't think she has any ambition to get back in the cage. She said at one time the only fight she would get back in there for was Gina Carano. And I do know Gina said she wants that fight. I don't see how this makes that any more possible. I guess maybe contract-wise. I don't know if that makes him bring Gina back, though. It's hard to say. But I'm so hyped for the BKFC card, though. You going live when that takes place? Oh, hell yeah. Rocco versus Perry is going to be awesome. And then Ben Rothwell's opponent backed out. I don't know if you guys watched the press conference today. I was watching a few minutes of it, and Chael Sonnen was actually there. That's a guy I think a lot of UFC fans would watch just a little bit of WWE if they got Chael Sonnen on the mic. I know I'd tune in. This merger like this really seems like it will have an impact on the behind the scenes stuff. Corporate policies, access to venues, benefits, etc. Yeah, we'll see. And the financial logistics of it. I seen the day after Endeavor stock was actually down. That could be because they have to buy out the WWE. It's up today. It's up almost 2.5% today. Having a pretty good day. Oh, actually, in the last 24 hours, it's up 8.73%. So, WWE's up 8.73%. Sorry, because they had to buy it. Endeavor's up too, just not as much. But at $23, I bought some more Endeavor stock. Brock Lesnar, Batista, Bobby Lashley, the only professional wrestlers who did good in MMA. Yeah, that's true. Ronda does pretty good over there too, but like I said, I don't think she does a lot. So it says the WWE sees their employees as independent contractors. The UFC do the same. Well, supposedly, the UFC fighters have been independent contractors the whole time. That's what the UFC calls them. So, I don't know what'll change there. What's up, boxing MMA? Chael Sonnen said he tried out for WCW back in the day. Really? Has UFC ever did any event in Seattle, Mike? Yes, they have done 2 in Seattle. I went to the first one. Me and young David went to, it was Anthony Rumble Johnson and Dan Hardy, actually, when Anthony Rumble was fighting at 170 pounds. Back in, I want to say, 2009. Mike, was any money exchanged? The 51%. I haven't looked into anything of the deal. Yeah, it sounds like close to $5 billion because they appraised the WWE at $9.5 billion and then cashed him out. So I believe that's the deal. What's up, Pulse Reloaded? Said RVD and Steve Blackman would have been great UFC fighters. Nice. $12 billion company, $2,000 to fight, right? And that was my initial reaction was like, geez, hopefully at least these fighters can get paid now. I had mentioned WWE Studios. They've done 32 movies. If those guys in WWE, those wrestlers can do movies, a lot of these UFC guys can do it too. I'd like to see Diego Sanchez wrestle, to be honest. Let's stop getting him hit in the head in BKFC matches and Eagle FC or wherever else they'll take him. Let's get him on the big screen. Let's get him in a movie. Get him in the WWE. Get him on the mic. I think it'd be highly entertaining. UFC should merge with boxing instead of pro wrestling. Yeah, boxing. I mean, they're trying to do their own thing in boxing. Boxing's so it's so fractured that, I mean, there is really no merging with boxing. There's so many different organizations and different things. Yeah, Tony Ferguson. Oh, Tony Ferguson would do great over there, I think. Yeah, he can retire and go over there. Like I said, some of them can do movies and things. It'll be interesting to see if a lot of the WWE fighters aren't interested in fighting in the UFC because they don't make any money. That would be interesting. What's up, Mr. Anonymous? I just hope they don't try to fix what isn't broken in the UFC. Aside from crappy judging and fighter pay, I don't think much needs to change. Agreed, sir. Agreed. Jean Crona has gained 50 pounds now, Mike. She can't make fight weight. Oh, yeah, she was looking She was looking significantly heavier last time I seen her on Joe Rogan. She did say on that show not long ago, though, that she would come back for a Ronda fight. So, Shai says, I agree Sanchez should go to the WWE. But because Dana gets in his feelings, Diego doesn't have a foot in the door. I'm not sure about that, Josiah. As long as he's clear of that crazy manager, which he's not with him anymore. I know Dana at least claims to have incredible loyalty towards everyone that was in that Ultimate Fighter Season 1. He said anytime they call him, he'll take care of them. So, I don't know. Speaking of Ferguson, he hasn't been very vocal. He's been very silent. I think he's kind of winding down his career, man. I think he's close to the end. Some of these guys, I think they probably get tired of being in the spotlight so much. And I've heard one of the worst things that some of these guys can do is to buy into their own success. Like it's the worst thing for their life. It just destroys them, like anxiety wise and everything else. You've seen it with movie stars and different things. So I hope so. I can see Dana in the boxing business in the near future. Boxing on life support with Endeavor backing it wouldn't cost too much. I agree. I think that was their foot in the door with this Gamebred Boxing. They co-promoted with Jorge Masvidal. You ordered the pay-per-view through Fight Pass. I think they kind of snuck their way in there silently. Torrance, I haven't even heard any fight news from Tony either. No, me either. Ferguson's glory days have passed. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, every fighter has their last day. We seen Roy Jones Jr., should not have been in there against Anthony Pettis. I mean, he did as good as just about any 54-year-old man's going to do, but 54-year-old men don't need to be fighting. Definitely sad what happened to Ferguson. If Dana got a big slice of the boxing market with WWE and UFC, they could literally control the fight game. Oh, absolutely. One of the first things I thought of, though, when I seen this merger was, man, I wonder if Francis Ngannou is really kicking himself now. Because Francis could have been a huge star in the WWE. I don't think it takes much to market him. He's actually very good on the mic. The guy's he's giant. And a match between him and Brock Lesnar, I think people that don't watch boxing, that don't watch wrestling at all, would tune in for that. Speaking of Masvidal, he said to retire if he loses to Gilbert. Yeah, and I agree you probably should. King James, I'll be a Ferguson loyalist. Nice. I also think Masvidal would do very, very well at bare knuckle boxing, though. His boxing, especially his angles, are very underrated. You've seen it, the way he cut off the cage and the way he dominated Nate Diaz when they fought. I mean, that was incredible. That was some of the best boxing I've ever seen. First round Tony had against Chandler was the best he's looked in a long time. Yeah, I thought he might win that. I don't watch WWE at all. Yeah. I don't think most of us really do, Torn. Boxing, that's a fantastic point, Mike. Francis could have potentially been a huge WWE star. Francis ain't making a dime, sitting out through his prime. Agreed, King James. All right, guys, I think we're going to switch over. We're going to talk about UFC 287, UFC Miami. Feel free to continue if you have any more thoughts on the WWE merger, though. Chat's open for that. I'm going to open my first beer after work today. And I got the shotgun. Everybody's teasing me because I didn't know how to do a shotgun before. But here we go. I got it now. You got to open the can first. That's a good start. All right, guys. Cheers. Woo! Now we're ready to go. I think before Tony retires, he deserves a huge money fight with Conor. Oh, I agree. Francis blew it. Could have made it big. He got offered a lot of money from the UFC. A lot. Got Izzy beating Alex. I agree, Torin. Yeah, Masvidal started in backyard fighting, so it'd be good in bare knuckle. Span to win one. Could this be the time? Could be. Could be. Francis has got his first boxing match out there, I believe, and it's against some guy who's only got a couple of fights ever for his debut. All right, let's bring up UFC 287. Or you could say UFC Miami. Either one. I mean, this is cool. I love how they're doing this. I love the whole Grand Theft Auto poster that they're doing with it. I wish I could be in Miami this weekend. And drinking 25 plus years and I'm still dying for a beer. They're pretty good. Alex barely beat Izzy last fight. Izzy was on his way to victory before that. Come from behind, TKO. Yep. I just listened to BKFC press conference hours ago. Dave Feldman said Francis is looking for ridiculous money. Oh, I'm sure he is. BKFC can't pay him. I mean, they're paying a lot of money to a lot of guys, but they don't have the kind of money Francis is looking for. I imagine he's looking for... he's probably looking for $50 million to start. So let's look through this card. Early prelims, I don't see anything worth watching except for maybe that main fight, Cynthia Cavillo and Lupi Godinez. I do like watching Lupi fight. Cynthia's a pretty good fighter. But we'll get into the ESPN prelims. Chase Sherman and Carl Williams. This was supposed to be Chase Sherman and big dude, Chris Barnett, the dude with the big belly that does the flip. I guess something happened to him to where he had to back out of the fight, though. France lost $50 million sitting out or remaining unemployed. Yep. Yeah, and like I said, I really don't see him getting more than $50 million for a boxing match, honestly, James. I know they say Conor got close to 100, but the pay-per-view game was a lot different then. I mean, they sold a ridiculous amount of pay-per-views, and it's Conor. It was $100 a piece. Everybody knows Conor. Francis Ngannou, outside of the UFC and outside of MMA, I don't think Francis has near the recognition that he thinks he does. Turns out Carl Williams, guys, is boring. Jeez, wasn't impressed with his last performance. No, yeah, and I'm not looking forward to that fight now. I think they moved it down on the card, too. I think that fight was higher up. I think it might have been the main event of the prelims. I'm not sure, though. Joe Pyfer, a very popular guy off Dana White Contender Series, comes in almost a 2-1 favorite against Gerald Meerschaert. That's going to be his biggest challenge so far, for sure. Nobody's going to pay over $10 million for a first-time boxer. Yeah, if you're not Conor McGregor, I kind of agree with you, James. Michelle Watterson coming back against Luana Pinheiro. Interesting. I do like this fight. Kelvin Gastelum and Chris Curtis. That's a fun fight. I do think Gastelum will probably use his fight IQ and wear Chris Curtis out and probably grind out a unanimous decision. Chase Sherman knocking Williams out. I hope he does, because if Williams wins, it's going to be a very boring fight, I think, Torin. Raul Rosas Jr., 18 years old, I believe. Going against Christian Rodriguez. He's a minus 230 favorite, and he should be. Dude's a crazy talent. Ngannou has done 1 million buys for a pay-per-view yet. If you want to say he did 1 million buys, the Stipe fight, I believe both Stipe fights did 1 million or close to. One of them did over, and the other one did 1 million or close to. But it's hard to say if that's more Francis or more Stipe, or just the fact that, you got them both in there. Obviously, Stipe's also a pretty big star. Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio. This is a fun fight. Kind of shows you how far Santiago, they feel like he's fallen, though, because Kevin Holland's not exactly on a winning streak right now, and he's a minus 250 favorite against Santiago. You can get 2.1 times if you bet on Ponzinibbio. Rob Font and Adrian Yanez. We were just talking about this in the chat. Man, this is a fun fight. Adrian is a great fighter. He's a great fighter. He's young. This is his toughest challenge to date. He's a minus 180 favorite. I think Adrian can get this, but he's going to have to be smart. I don't think he can come in wild. He likes to get in brawls with people. Rob's a great boxer. He's very disciplined. I think this is a fight that Adrian should win if he has the right game plan now. Wow, so he's a legit pay-per-view seller doing 2 fights at 1 million or close. Yeah, I mean, if you got to look at, were people buying it for Francis? Were they buying it for Stipe? Or were they buying it because it was Francis versus Stipe? And it's hard to say even how big of a fan, how big of a pay-per-view draw Stipe is, because he's had great opponents there for a while. His last 5 fights, I believe his last 5 fights have been against either Francis Ngannou or Daniel Cormier. I don't think he had any other fights in there. He had the 3 fights with Daniel and the 2 fights with Francis. I can't think of another fight in that time. Adrian will be in top 10 real soon. Yeah, I think Sunday. Next time they do the rankings after this pay-per-view, I think he's in the top 10, because Rob's at number 6, and like I said, I think Adrian should win that fight. Co-main event, Mr. Miami himself, game-bred Jorge Masvidal, coming off a very successful promotion. I don't know what they did for pay-per-view buys, but I think they really set themselves up to do well for pay-per-view buys in the future. That Jeremy Stephens Jose Aldo fight really saved the card. That was one of the best boxing matches, guys, I've seen. Probably this year. It's definitely my favorite boxing match this year. Maybe in several years. Outside of the Wilder Fury fights, I struggle to think of the last time I seen a fight that good. But I think Gilbert Burns should beat Jorge, which means a Jorge retirement, it sounds like. If Jorge wins, I think somehow they get him in for a title shot. If not next, if they don't bump Colby, he'll get the winner of Colby and Leon. Dana White's actually encouraged Kamaru Usman to retire, which I don't know if I should be shocked by that, but I was. Israel Adesanya looking to get his belt back. Coming off just the second loss of his career. Of course, the first one was going up to 205 against Jan Blachowicz, who walks around at 250. Izzy doesn't even cut weight to get to middleweight, or very, very little. Despite losing the first match and losing the belt, he still comes in a slight favorite. As you guys mentioned, Izzy was dominating that fight before Pereira started to land those big shots. I think Izzy does the same thing, but I think he has a smarter game plan this time. I think he checks more of the leg kicks. I think he's worked on his wrestling some. I just think he's going to have a better game plan. I think he gets his belt back. I think that's a value bet at minus 135. I will definitely be putting some money on him myself over there on DraftKings. But see, what does everyone else think? Stipe is another who's lost millions by not fighting. Yeah, but he's got a lot of fights, and here's the thing. Stipe, it's like he could get in there and fight more, I guess. But Stipe gets in there when it's the big fight. Like the Daniel Cormier matches. After losing to Daniel Cormier, he could have gotten in there and gotten a tune-up match. He could have went in there and fought someone else. I don't think he could have fought Daniel Cormier any quicker than he did, though. I think it took that long to make that fight. And from what I hear, he is a shrewd negotiator. I mean, I think that's the main reason I've heard that Dana tried to get him beat the first time against Francis. You know, Stipe wouldn't allow Dana to put the belt on him because he felt like he tried to get him beat. Well, yeah, he did, because Stipe doesn't just take the first offer. He's a pretty good negotiator. He knows his value. He knows he's popular. I mean, who doesn't like Stipe Miocic? The guy's literally a real life superhero. Damn, was that good, Mike? I missed it. I may watch that fight. It was very good. The whole card really exceeded expectations, leaps and bounds, in my opinion. Is he bound to win, Jim? Is he going to tear Alex up? Is he parking against fence and dropping his offense? Remains suspicious. and that is going to be one of the issues of merging with the WWE. I don't know about you guys, but how many times as MMA fans has people accused you guys of being wrestling fans? Oh, you're going to go watch your wrestling. No, I'm going to watch MMA. I'm going to watch UFC. There's a difference. This is real fighting. That's fake fighting. They're kind of like, okay, whatever. It's all the same to me. Okay. Now, it's going to be a lot harder to make that argument. And at the end of the day, now, I don't care. I don't care anymore. It's like people can think whatever they want. I don't give a shit. I'm 44 years old. If you want to think that I'm watching... if you want to think I'm watching fake wrestling, if you want to think that I'm lying about it and I'm coming upstairs to watch SpongeBob, I could give a shit less. But Stipe is the nicest man, a living legend. Agreed, boxing. Think Burns gonna beat Masvidal? Oh, I almost know he will. I really don't want the UFC to merge with WWE. Yeah, I have my own concerns about it, Torin, but unfortunately, it's not up to us. It looks like it's a done deal, man. Um, I am gonna buy some Endeavor stock. It's sitting at $23 right now. I know this is not a financial channel, but I do enjoy stocks, talking about stocks, and I was looking at the PE, the profits to earning ratio, for Endeavor, and it's 50.97. I don't know why it's so high. They must have a lot of debt. So for a company this young and with potential like it has, you're still, I think, looking at a buy if your PE or your price to earnings ratio is around 30. So in my opinion, it's close to double what it should be. But it's also, like I said, 52-week highs, 29.86. I wish I would have bought at the low, $17.42. It's been, kind of slowly climbing up. It's up 7.34% in the last 3 months. It's up a little bit today, as I mentioned, but I do think it's a buy. Some WWE wrestlers who follow the UFC. Oh, they definitely do. And Endeavor makes huge profits. Yeah, I think their stock's a buy. I think they're going to pay off a lot of that debt, and I think they're just going to be a fucking monster. The Rock watches UFC. Even Stone Cold Austin watches UFC. Rey Mysterio, nice. Was an Endeavor doing terrible during the pandemic? UFC record profits was only bright spot. Well, they were doing horrible during the pandemic because most of the rest of their business is in Hollywood. And they pissed off a lot. They pissed off all the Hollywood unions because the UFC was doing business during the pandemic, and just a lot of agents and things said that they didn't want to do business with Endeavor. Movie companies were telling actors and stuff, if you do business with Endeavor, we're not going to put you in movies. Just some, in Hollywood, it's a piece of shit business. I'm sorry. It's just a real shitty business. I don't care if people are liberal or conservative or whatever. I've said that many times on here. What drives me bonkers are the extremists on either side, and you have some of those fucking dummies over there in Hollywood that just they wear their virtue on their sleeve, and they're just the biggest fake pieces of shit on the planet. That's just my opinion, but I don't think any of that stuff is because they care about any of their so-called causes. I think they're all just a bunch of virtual signaling shitbags. MMA has been fastest growing sport for years. Yeah, absolutely. And I know the WWE has had a resurgence. There was actually talk, and I didn't realize that this merger was really an actual possibility when I heard this at first, but there was talk that they were going to allow sports betting on WWE. It's like, you want to ruin sports betting and have it banned again like it was in the 70s? That sounds like about the quickest way to do it. Sounds like a horrible idea to me, but couldn't agree more with you, Mike. This is boxing. Yeah, and I think a lot of those guys, they're starting to figure it out. So many of, entertainers have moved to Austin, Texas. They've moved to other places. They realize they don't have to be in Hollywood. The ones with actual talent, the top sellers, guys like, like Samuel L. Jackson and Denzel Washington and Keanu Reeves, think you're bigger. Tom Cruise, your best actors, they don't have to play that game. And I'd throw The Rock in there as well, too. I don't think he's the greatest actor, but he's obviously a huge star. Been sports betting on WWE for years. Really? I did not realize they took bets boxing. That's strange to me. If Izzy wins, will you binge watch Death Note? I have watched some of Death Note, Archie, but yeah, I'll probably finish it. California isn't getting any cheaper. It's high as fuck. Are you in California, Torn? Oh, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for anybody that's stuck there right now. I can't imagine anybody still wants to be there. I mean, maybe for family and they have great weather. But, man, that government there, they are just beating down their citizens and taking advantage of them. It's just an absolute shit show. Here in Ireland, it's always allowed to be bet on. Oh, okay. I forgot you were in Ireland. Okay. Gambling is a national sport in Ireland. I gotta make it to Ireland, man. I've never been. I have wanted to go for a long time. And I'm not even the biggest Conor McGregor fan. But when I'm there, I definitely gotta go to his bar. I don't know how often he's in there. Obviously, it'd be cool to sit and have a drink with him, if he was in there. But have you been to his bar boxing? No, I'm in Illinois, but I heard how high it is in California. Okay. Oh, you're over in Illinois with James. James is over there with you in Illinois. Somewhere. I know it's a big state. But you ever thought about leaving Washington, Mike? Not real seriously. I love it here, Torn. It's beautiful here. I absolutely love Washington. I probably won't ever leave. Ireland isn't the biggest Conor fan either. I've heard that they're not as big on him as they used to be. Yeah, I've been to his bar. It's a good spot. Yeah, I can't imagine him putting up with not having a great bar, though. Even if he's not there often. I imagine it's got to be a great place to go to. So I got a few questions for you, boxing. Is it common to see an actual fight, like in a bar? Like, do people just fight, or is that just kind of Hollywood? Is it more common to actually, see people duking it out? Ain't too bad if you avoid big blue cities. Yeah, I can't imagine being in Chicago, too. Of course, most of you guys know Shoney Carter, Mr. International, former UFC star of Ultimate Fighter Season 4. Dude who landed the first spinning back fist in the history of MMA, knocking out Matt Serra. I was talking to him one day because he's in Chicago, and his car was down for a while and he had to take the bus. And he goes, "Hey, man, I got to get going." He said, "I got to go because this could be serious. Somebody's shooting at our bus." But he wasn't like frantic or anything. The way he said it, it was like, "Oh, yeah, this kind of happens here. I guess I'll pay attention so I don't get shot." But he didn't seem real surprised by it. Southern Illinois, far from Chicago. Nice. It's Hollywood these days. Okay, used to be fights everywhere, but not so much these days, Mike. I would love to go somewhere where people still fight. Close to Missouri. Comment your pics from my latest vid, bro. Hey, I will. Yeah, everybody, if you're not subscribed already, check out Pulse Reloaded. Pulse's quick six, his quick picks. Thank you, sir. Up to $303. What a stream. My friend went to Ireland. He said they were rowdy people. You know, I think people should still be able to solve their differences man to man, fist to fist, but too many people start involving weapons and friends, chairs and knives and guns and all kinds of crazy shit nowadays. And nobody wants to take an L. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose, but it's, you know, you win some, you lose some. It's like the actor that passed away a few days ago on Friday. So you win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. And, you know, you get the knockout or you go out on your shield, but you go out with pride because you don't bring weapons into it. That's my opinion. I'm 80 miles from Missouri, top of Illinois Ozarks. Oh, nice. Oh, that's got to be a beautiful area. I know I've heard you talk about it quite a bit. So stream for this weekend, for Saturday, ESPN prelims start at 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm not real interested in the early prelims. So I don't really want to do another 9-hour stream. I did over 9 hours and 15 minutes. That was not the plan Saturday, but you had the Anthony Joshua boxing match and then a little break in between and then Game Bread boxing. We did everything. And yeah, I think that was my longest stream ever. But I was exhausted Sunday. You're near 100% certainly won't get shot in Ireland unless you are a gangster. Well, not many guns there, right? Most people can't have guns. It's not like the United States where everybody's got a gun. Going to Dave & Buster's to watch the UFC 287. Nice. I've never been to a Dave & Buster's, but I've heard we're getting one. Hopefully they have some decent games. 9 hours, so a day's work. Yeah, and I'd already done a day's work, though. It's my regular job is physical. 9 hours of this, I think wears on me more, honestly, than a 9-hour workday most of the time. Yeah, we only have shotguns here. Yeah, like I've said before, you know, I'm a big Second Amendment fan. You know, I'm a big fan of everybody having the right to defend themselves. I agree with that. Personally, I do have a few guns, but I also kind of have this weird fantasy that, like, if somebody breaks into my house, I don't want to let them off that easily. I want to, like, shut all the lights off, put on my saw mask, and say, let's play a game. Got last place in the trivia. What's up, SO3? Well, you didn't get last place because you answered some questions. But criminals acquire guns anywhere they choose. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. J Dig. I don't know if J Dig's in here, but I was going to congratulate him. I forgot it to let him know he won. I'm sure he probably knew, but he won the trivia on Saturday. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us. UFC and WWE merger. It's going to be interesting. I think we're going to have a great UFC this weekend. On Saturday, though, UFC Miami. I don't picture any WWE stuff getting in the way for it. We can hope so. My only right answer was short guy. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me for this special stream, though. It's good to catch up with everybody. Thanks again, King James, for that huge donation, biggest donation in Fights and Friends history. So another hand for King James.
I'm rich, bitch!
And we'll leave it on that. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses next time.